Hello guys, welcome to another tutorial. In this one we're going to talk about Houdini procedural modeling. Okay, well this may seem scary, but if you wanna try to do something and being able to use it in multiple occasions and be flexible, that's the way you do it. It may not be pretty, it may not be artistically driven that much, but it is flexible, it is powerful, and overall it is high productivity. Okay, that's why a lot of game studios are adapting to it to make terrains, to make buildings and structures, trees, whatever that can be described in a kind of like a rule-based way. You can make something happen like that in Houdini. Okay, now we are not gonna go for something too complicated, but also not too simple. It's gonna be some kind of a mixture, so that I can show you the various kind of like ideas on how to build something like that. Okay. All right. So we're gonna make a sci-fi floor. Okay, and that sci-fi floor will be driven by a curve. Okay. With that being said, I'm gonna go click on this curve to underneath create curve and turn on the grid snapping so that my curve will be able to snap to the grid. Okay, from the center to 2 units away, whatever. This is all flexible. It doesn't have to be this way. It can be something else. But I'm basically going to draw out the basic idea on how this sci-fi floor will look like. Okay, it may have bigger areas like this. It may have smaller corridors like this, right? You can go out and, the only thing you kind of wanted to avoid for this to work properly is to always have 90-degree turns, right? You cannot do this tilt angle, although it's able to produce something, but not gonna look pretty. Okay, you can go across like this. There's no problem like that, right? Just something like this. Okay, when you're done, just hit Enter to finish it. Okay. Now this looks nothing like a sci-fi floor, right? And then we want to populate across the curves. Okay. Now when you do that, and by the way, if you have never used Houdini, the navigation is going to be holding down space button, and then the 3 buttons you are familiar with in Maya will be the navigation. So space, middle, left, and the right mouse button to do all those 3 operations. Alt does the same thing, but sometimes Alt is for something else, as you can see when you right, it's fun. Anyway, so now here you have this node editor, or in other words, it's called the networking view. Okay, this is where you have your nodes. Now unlike Maya, Houdini's node is all there is, right? Maya is kind of like a hybrid of node-based and destructive way of building stuff, but in Houdini, however, everything is kept and all the steps you did will be resolved into a node. Sounds scary, but it is actually the way it works, and with that it's able to produce something quite flexible. Okay, now in the node we have one curve object geometry. Okay, now this thing is actually a geometry context, and you can double click to open it, and you're into the actual meat of this geometry. And for now, this geometry only have a curve. Okay, the navigation is going to be also, I think it's more like Substance Designer or Unreal Engine kind of way. You made the mouse drag to move, and the wheel to zoom in and out. Now above this, you got its property panel. Okay, now because I have such low resolution when I'm recording, it's like only Full HD. So I'm gonna go ahead and change the layout a little bit. You can see like for every big box you have on the upper right corner you have this thing, and this is basically the layout settings. You can change this to split to left and right. And this is gonna split this thing into left and right. We right click here and choose a different editor. Right, that's all the editors there. You can choose the geometry spreadsheet. Oh, sorry, not there. The network view to show the network. Now we have 2 network views. Just like in Maya, you open 2 node editors. Anyway, and now I don't need to see these guys anymore. I'm gonna click on this to close that. Okay. Now to see the property of anything, you can hit the P button to toggle the property editor here. Okay, that way you can have both the node editor or the network and then the property, or they call that parameters view, right? This is basically that, and because we can pull it out in the, oops, sorry about that. You can click on those different arrows to, you know, close one of those panels, right? So in that way we can see both this parameter view, parameter settings, and then the nodes, and then we have enough space to also see the viewport. Anyway, so we have a curve here, right? And then you can take a look at the points. You can see a whole bunch of points. Okay, if you don't see the points, you can toggle the points in here. Okay, that's the visualization settings here. You can see different things like lighting conditions, material, different attributes, right? Things like that. Anyway, so after that, I'm gonna go ahead and create another node. You can hit tab button to create node, and we can search for this thing called resample. Right, now what does this thing do? It's basically resample the lines. Well, you connect this guy, the curve's output, to the input of the resample. That's how you transfer data over, right? Just like designer in this case. You can click on this little visualization to view the result of this resample. You can see how the lines or the, you know, our things are being resampled. But it's not perfect. As you can see here, well, this one is missing the beginning because it's resampling this entire thing. You can tell it to not do that. Grab this node, you can say, okay, I want to resample by polygon edge. Now this is gonna make it only resample in between the points you have already, right? And that's not gonna destroy anything we made, any corner we made, which is cool. Now I don't want to resample that much, so this length will determine the distance between the points. Drag it up, you can see how you're getting different results. Okay, I just need a fill. All right, and then I'm gonna go create tab button and create a box. Okay. All right. To create anything, it's always this tab button. If you don't know what you can do, you can go through this various graph, or you can hit space button. It's gonna give you everything possible. This is all the nodes available for the geometry. Yeah. Anyway, this is basically a box. You click on this visualization, you can see it's a box, right? Now I want to populate this box on every individual point in here. Okay. So there's gonna be a node called copy stamp. Okay. And connect the result of the resample to the template to copy to, and box to the primitive to copy, and then take a look. You can see how it's populating our box across this curve. What's actually happening is that for every point on this curve, there'll be a box placed on top, which is cool, right? Okay, now I do see a problem. I kind of wanted this thing to be standing on the grid, right? Now the box is not standing on the grid, right? It's kind of like in the middle. So I'm gonna go grab the box and say, okay, your center will be actually higher than 0. It's gonna be half of your height. Okay. Now this is gonna be the power of Houdini. What you can do this is you can right click here and say copy parameter and paste it in here, but paste relative reference. Okay. All right. Now you can see what's happening here on the box is that they're higher. Okay. And they're actually much higher than what I want them to be, because it's the size of it's going to be the same size as its own size, which is making it too high. So I need to divide that by 2, so it's like, you know, only half of its height. Okay, now let's take a look at that. See now, oh, they're actually not placing based on the pivot. Okay, which is not cool then. It's going to use the pivot, I guess. Well, in that case, we can move all these things up by using another transform. Okay, put it in here. A transform node will be doing the same thing. We can go back here and then copy parameter again and paste it in here on the translate. And then we divide that by 2. Okay, so you can copy paste any parameter, make connections from one to another. Now this is this is the beauty of Houdini over any other node-based software, like either Substance especially or Maya. This expression-based way to make connections is very convenient because you don't want to see like connect everything from here to there like Maya does with a lot of dots, right? That makes the node really messy. In Designer, you just have to make parameters and do all this gymnastics to make it work. But here you just need to type in, right? Which is cool. All right, cool. Let me turn off the points. Now, well, this looks like a really cool, space, but if you go inside of it, if I ever can, you can see, well, it's basically still a bunch of boxes. You can hit W button to see the wireframe. You can see, well, they're clipping into each other. So I wanted to make this one piece, right? To do that, I'm gonna go ahead and create another node called VDB from polygons. What this does is basically converting our polygon into something called, in programmer's point of view, a signed distance field, which is basically having a value of 0 on the surface of the model. Whatever is on the outside of the surface will be having a value 1. Whatever is inside is going to be 0. So basically, a field that tells you where the surface is. Okay, the outer layer surfaces. It's not going to take care of the inside in this case. All right. So signed means an integer with both positive and negative values. If you ever do programming, that's kind of like why that name is called signed. Anyway, there's few parameters we can tweak, but just for the simplicity, we don't need to touch anything in there. It's basically making a volume now, and we can convert it back to a polygon. So we can do convert VDB to convert this thing back to polygon. All right, you can see now we're not converting it to polygon yet because you have to tell it to convert to polygon. Okay, now we're getting this really cool geometry that's kind of like hollow in the middle. It's almost like we're doing like a ZBrush's data mesh right to this volume here. So well and good, but it's not perfect. As you can see, there's some diagonal lines and there's something here and there, right? That's not very cool, right? So let's move on to the next video where we try to move those points to various regular places that to make this looks like more like a regular model instead of a organic model. Okay, see you next time.